Hey, peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment clip. I'm the creator here, Wood, and happy weekend. We've reached another Saturday. Wow, where do I jump in with this? Well, social media, the internet is a buzz with the announcement of Deontay Wilder. Having his two fights out there with the rematch with Luis Ortiz. One quick note, and I'm not even adding a bunch of extra words to my original statement, so I'm not really trying to, fix anything per se. I did say the fight was trash. I meant the play is trash based on where we were in the in the big scheme of things. The play is trash. Although I'm kind of I have some reservations about believing in Luis Ortiz to be a huge threat on a guy that seems to be aging and could be aging based on some on his last couple of performances. Anyway, we'll get to all of that. But I guess we're in and so with the rematch of Luis Ortiz, there's also the rematch has been announced for Wilder and uh, and Tyson Fury. No dates. I think September 28th is was late September is what's being thrown out there for Ortiz. No venue yet. No location. On Fury's side, he has a Schwartz fight still, 2 weeks from now, and then I believe there's another date at the end of the year for him. So for me, this is just an odd. This seems like an odd era of boxing, or for boxing, and this isn't the first sign of it. I mean, we can look at Canelo Alvarez and see that basically, and he has a de facto lifetime deal, with the Kobe Bryant playing with one franchise for his entire career. But Canelo has a retirement deal, a 5 year, what was it, 5 year, 11 fight deal. For me, and knowing boxing and watching it the past, however many years, it just seems odd. It just doesn't seem like the type of sport where you could make an 11 fight deal and not have some skepticism about, well, obviously you if he lost one of the first 3 or 4 fights or lost two of the first five, two of the first six, like how does that impact the rest of the deal? It's like the Triple Crown race in horse racing. I mean, the Triple Crown in horse racing. Somebody that the second the second race, whatever that is, the Preakness or the Belmont Stakes. If that winner isn't the Kentucky Derby winner, well then nobody cares about the rest of it, and so the rest of the Triple Crown. And so here it's like I said, it's just odd that we can have all of these fights set up. And I guess with the Canelo thing, I guess fighters have had multi-fight deals in the past and whatnot. I guess, but I don't know, man. It's just odd. So this is kind of an extension of that here now, to where and I guess Canelo and Triple G, the first one was worked out before the fight with Chavez. So I mean, there is precedent there already. But I guess for me in this particular one, it almost seems like the NFL, and I got all these analogies, but the NFL moving the Pro Bowl before the Super Bowl doesn't help the Pro Bowl. And with Ortiz being before Tyson Fury, both rematches, this really doesn't do the Ortiz rematch a service. For me personally, I wouldn't pay for I wouldn't buy the pay per view anyway. That's a wrap today. I wouldn't pay for that. I don't even think that's hate. Just I'm not here to pay for. I'm not here to pay for just fights I really don't support or really don't believe in. I can fall back on that one and catch the replay. Being that I write about boxing and cover the sport to a degree, do I spend the $20 to go to the theater and check it out? I'll consider that as we work towards it. But it does seem sloppy, and in part it's almost like it's driven by trying to upstage tonight's fight with Anthony Joshua and Ruiz in New York. And it's like, let me step on dude's moment with my own stuff. A little odd that we haven't heard it, and this came from, I'm sure, anybody watching this has probably checked out Deontay Wilder's social media accounts where this was announced. It's a little odd that it hasn't been announced by no word from the Top Rank side. Even in the article on Boxing Scene, I don't think they said they had any confirmation from any sources or contacts on the Top Rank side, but they said they had 4 sources that they've confirmed this with. So I don't know, man. And the thing is that bothers me a little bit is for Wilder and his core supporters, just to not question anything that the man does just is odd to me. This would be like, and I wouldn't take exception to some of this stuff if it wasn't for the messaging and the political, all this politicking that's going on right now. And to run and keep pushing the phrase out there, one face, one champion, one name, or one face, one name, one champion, and whatnot. This would be like J. Cole. Nobody calls him out on it, but it would be like if J. Cole was going around pushing himself as doing something remarkable and going platinum with no features on his record. But then you drop an album and you have a bunch of named rappers doing the chorus on 4 or 5 songs. And then coming back and saying, well, I'm the dude that's doing this without no features. Nah, you kind of have features. I mean, they may not be rapping, but you still have other dudes on your project. And it's still selling their name and their inclusion in the project. So I would question that too. So I'm just trying to be consistent. And like I said, I just feel like there's a lot of there's some contradiction in a lot of this stuff. But it is what it is, man. I'm not upset with the rematch whatsoever. The play with Ortiz. Maybe they took a look at some of this stuff. And that's another thing. I said it a couple of months ago when some of the talks were breaking down between Wilder and Anthony Joshua, and the pettiness and the silliness continues. I'm good with it. I really don't. I mean, in some regards, I really don't care if the big fight doesn't happen, because there's other stuff in boxing to watch. Frankly, there's other stuff that's going on, and I mentioned too that other heavyweights would be elevated into the discussion, and the game will roll along. And I think some of these moves jeopardize there being one champ, one name, and one face, and all of that, because now you got more people to go through. Joshua's gonna have more people to go through. And I don't necessarily think that all of Joshua's options are bad options. The fight with Usyk, a fight with Pulev, potentially. Michael Hunter's out there. Maybe a rematch with Parker, the Dillian White. I mean, the game rolls on. So I kind of don't understand all the clapping and the applauding for one side or the other. Uh, Us as fans have lost out and are losing out if the undisputed fight doesn't happen. And it's no guarantee it's no guarantee that Wilder makes it past the rematch of Ortiz. It's no guarantee that he makes it past the rematch with Fury. So it adds more intrigue and suspense to this thing, and we'll move forward. Like I said, I don't know how the angles to sit here and applaud Wilder for doing something. It's almost like Alonzo in Training Day when when they were shocked that he got rid of my man, his one buddy. I can't think of his name, or I can't even think of the actor's name. Roger. When he went over and got the money out of Roger's floor, and the Mexican dude was like, "Man, nobody thought you would get rid of your main dude to pay back, to get this money to pay these Russians off for the Russian that he killed in Las Vegas or whatever." So nobody saw all of this working out. But we did see some things, some dominoes fall that kind of showed, with Tyson Fury rejecting the Dillian White fight outright. We saw some things back there. You can see after the fact of what was kind of setting this kind of play up. But again, like I said, it moves us away from. There's a chance that the belts could get scattered again, and this whole process can start over, and then you have Lennox Lewis and Riddick Bowe all over, and the money that could have been made from one fight, that's never realized, at the end of the day. So it's it's betting on yourself to your own detriment in some ways. But hey, it is what it is. Like I said, man, it's hilarious to sit out here and watch some of the back and forth amongst the folks on the sidelines and our contribution to the rivalry. It's interesting. What else was I gonna say? I didn't really want to get back. There wasn't too much more to say on Joshua and Ruiz, man. Ruiz's weight became a story yesterday, being 6 pounds heavier than he was 6 weeks ago against Alexander Dimitrenko. Who knows what these dudes do in camp? And I haven't even watched any more of the 40 days. I think I'm going to go in there and check that out here in a minute. Maybe watch 1 or 2 of those. Another quick note to add, man. I'm getting ready to go. I'm going to put that on the back burner. I'm going to go in here and check out this Ava DuVernay project, When They See Us, which is the story of the Central Park Five that kind of came back into the forefront while Donald Trump was running for president, and his stance on those 5 brothers and the one Latino cat, the teens that were accused, that served time, that were found guilty for raping the white lady, the white female jogger, I think in Central Park. But I'm gonna check that out. It's a 4-part series. So I'm gonna check that out today before the fights later on tonight. But getting back to Ortiz, to Ruiz, it's interesting. Who knows, how you come in. He's got a couple of I'm not even gonna go into that. Hey, look, man, I'm gonna get on off of here, get out here. I gotta figure out some things some problems my wifey created for me, and I don't even know how I'm gonna get them resolved over the next day or so. But enjoy the action tonight. It's an interesting boxing, man. Is just such an interesting space how we go about following this thing, and it's confusing, man, because the unconditional support for all of these fighters, you know, for among all the different fan bases, to sit back and watch what's accepted, what's not accepted, what's rejected, and you just shake your head, man. I don't get it. And then to sit back and question any of it brings criticism to the individual who's asking the question. But I'm just like, man, what's coming out of your mouth and what you're doing don't really line up. And nobody, you know, it's confusing, man. It's very confusing. And then to not, you know, recognize the moments where there's a chance to, like I said, quote unquote, break the wheel and take the situation in a new direction based on what's at stake. And people aren't, you know, some fighters aren't even willing to do that, whether it be in the welterweight level, with the big names there, even junior welterweight with the coveted matchups there, and going up to the heavyweight with the coveted matchups there. Like I said, man, this digging in the past and focusing on the wrongs that were done instead of insisting upon things to go in a new direction. I guess nobody cares. Or I won't even suggest that. And let me get on off of here, man. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great.